got 3 and out when we needed it late to get the ball back to have an opportunity. But still more there. Special teams not our best execution-wise, not just the onside kick, fair catch, got some bad field position. I did think we responded offensively when we did start at the 5-yard line, getting a score, and so just some missed opportunities in an emotional, important game. I think for me it kind of crystallized Saturday night, and leading into it, knew it was important, rivalry, emotion, and going, but now truly experiencing it for the first time, that thing is different, that thing is important, and that's why it's so frustrating to feel like we could have done a few things better. But you gotta move on to the next week and whatnot, but you will not forget, after experiencing that sucker, I will not forget that thing. But we do gotta move on to a big time opponent, one of the hottest teams in the country, doing it in all 3 phases. You look at Indiana, offensively, doing some things, can score points in bunches. Defensively, got some good players around, a solid scheme, and you don't win every game by accident. And so one of the hottest teams in the country, and so we're going to have to reload and regroup. Excited to get back to Spartan Stadium for a big-time environment and another opportunity moving forward. Questions?
Hey, Jeff, real quick, an update on Aidan now that you've got a chance. Schickel?
Yeah, we're finalizing things, but that does not look good for the rest of the year. We don't have that final, but it doesn't look good.
And then the post-game stuff, after you had a chance to review it, is there anything that you saw and that you've heard from your staff members, anything you've done as far as contact with the Big Ten, any of that?
Yeah, I know Alan Haller, our athletic director, has been in contact with the Big Ten, and my understanding is they are looking into it. I did, in ways, pleased with our players, asked those guys to make the thing physical Saturday night and play disciplined football. Would have loved to finish the thing at the end better, I think, on both sides. But yeah, I know Alan's been in contact with him.
Jonathan, the delay a game on the first possession before the missed field goal, is that a timeout you have to call? Is that something you want Aidan to do?
That's on me. No, 100%. I call timeouts. I will say the first drive, the communication to the quarterback helmet was not working, so we were operating a little differently. I should have called timeout. If we want to go, you got the ball on the 2-yard line. That's one I'd love to have back.
And with Will Johnson out, were they doing anything special to take Nick out of the game, or just didn't?
They had a few times. Coverage is going his way, but not dramatically different. Just because I believe one of their corners wasn't playing.
Jonathan, first part I wanted to ask about the Jordan Turner targeting. Is that something that is reviewable by the Big Ten, and is that something that you have submitted to them, and have you heard anything on that?
Oh, that's true. They review it. We appealed it, and they denied the appeal, so he'll be out for the first half.
The second part, it goes back to the altercation on the field, I guess. I don't know how many angles you've watched or what things you have seen, but we couldn't tell if there was a player or a staff member under the pile that getting stomped. I wonder if you knew anything about that. And I guess it also looked like most of your team was back towards your sideline, and seemed like a definite outnumbering over there.
Yeah, I haven't thoroughly looked at every angle and all of that. It was a lot of bodies out there. My experience, and then learning yesterday, yes, we had a staff member that was in the fray of it and a player in the fray of it, and that's what we're hoping they're looking into.
Coach, for the second straight week, run game was really effective. How important is that going to be? You're going up against Indiana, another top 10 rushing defense.
Yeah, it's really important to look for some balance. I think we've taken a step since that bye week, the last 2 weeks, in the run game in particular. We've taken a step. It makes things easier on your quarterback. When you have some balance like that, we got to continue to keep that going, because we've had more production moving the ball when you can do both. And so pleased with the run game effort the last 2 weeks.
And then you said after the game, you felt you were prepared well for Orgy, and you said you'd look at the tape, figure that out. What did you notice on tape?
Yeah, a couple of mishaps, and again, when he's in the game, you're thinking quarterback running game, and they were effective, especially late when they needed to get a couple of first downs. Got that done, and so we got to tighten it up, and each week's new, right? So who you're playing, the schemes are going to be different, but we would love to play that a little bit better than we did last Saturday night.
Have you had time to talk to your players about what happened Saturday? Have you revisited that yet with them? And
Yeah,
I guess
100
what was the messaging?
Yeah, we always, on Sundays, we take a deep look at the game, and we're always about correcting, improving. We're going to watch it, and there's some things that we want to build off of, some things we got to clean up. Spoke to a little bit of the emotion of the game in that, that locker room, when I walked in after that game, this thing means something. It was frustrating. And I actually told them that's a good thing. If I'd have walked into the locker room and these guys are just staring at their phones or something, we'd have problems. We didn't have that. This thing was emotional, and that's how we want to be playing the game.
And then 2 years ago, I mean, a comparable situation ends up with charges against MSU players. With Michigan, there hasn't been any discipline, anything announced. Do you feel like there's a sense of unfairness there?
Again, I don't know. I wasn't here the 2 years ago. I know the Big Ten's looking into it.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I was wondering, does it help when obviously coming off, like you said, a very emotional game, does it help to refocus when you've got an unbeaten team, like you said, one of the hottest teams in the country coming in here, and it's another trophy game?
Yeah, I think so. And again, I'm pretty confident in this group. We will not forget Saturday night. I promise you that, okay? But we moving forward, and yeah, you got a big-time team coming in back at home. I think these guys will be excited to play on Saturday.
Jonathan, you've coached in in-state rivalry games before. What did you learn Saturday night?
I think you just walk into the place and there's a genuine dislike. And you could feel that from the get-go of pregame, from the crowd to the place, and then sharing the tunnel. And so that's unique in a rivalry piece, to share that tunnel and be walking by these guys nonstop. And so I think about you hear about the former players and how much this thing means. After experiencing this thing one time, this thing is different. And that crystallized for me on Saturday.
And as a first-year coach, you've actually got a staffer who was at Indiana. What in the world have they done there, and how have they gone from where they were to 8-0?
Credit to them. I mean, they turned a lot of new players in their first year at Indiana. Obviously, schematically, the coach, Signetti, knows what he's doing, putting the thing together. He's had success other places, and I do think they're playing with a lot of confidence. You just watch them from start of games and being able to finish games. These guys are playing with a lot of confidence, and they've had some real success.
Jonathan, pass rush was really good to start the season, but I believe it's been 4 straight games without a sack. Against Rourke, if he were able to go, he's been one of the most productive quarterbacks in the Big Ten. How important is it going to be to get that going this week?
Yeah, we want to affect the passer, and again, each week's, think about the last couple of weeks, not playing prolific passing games, and so your sack count's probably going to be down when you're playing teams like that. But these guys can throw it. They do a nice job in the RPO game, and they're going to have a balance of mix and run and pass. But we want to affect the passer, especially against a good quarterback.
Jonathan, do you worry about just moving on? This game is a harder game to move on from, to get ready for an Indiana team that's obviously very good. And second, well, I'll start there. Does this game present unique challenges coming out of this game and shedding it?
Yeah, I think it's unique in that, emotional rivalry in the middle of the year, and then you're going to play the next week. But we've talked about being process approached. However Saturday turns out, we're going to look at it on Sunday and move forward, counting on this player-led team to do that. They had a players-only meeting actually discussing this topic last night. And so I'm confident we'll be back to work tomorrow morning.
Secondly, Indiana had a pretty charmed schedule relative to you guys to start the season. Would you rather have, and I mean, you could argue you'd be at least 6-0 if you'd played that schedule. Would you rather have a confidence-building schedule that creates sort of momentum in whether it's real or not, or would you rather know every hard truth and wart about your team like you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if one way's way better than the other. We don't dictate the schedule, and in this conference, that's how it's going to play out. So the 18 teams, you're only going to play 9 of them, and so you're going to miss some opponents and that. I look at our schedule, I do think it's been tough. We've played some real teams, but I'm proud of our group as we continue to battle. I think we've gained confidence as the year's gone on. We can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody, and now we want to play our best football in November.
Excuse me, Jonathan, we all saw their backup quarterback last week. Don't know, I guess, the situation there. How different is he from Rourke, their main guy, and just generally offensively, what have they done to put up some of these big numbers that you've seen on some of these teams?
Well, schematically, yeah, they do a nice job. I think they've got weapons in the backfield, at receiver. The O-line looks like they're on the same page and know that scheme and have played pretty high level. Talk about the quarterback thing. I didn't see a lot of difference in their efficiency, their operation, and so preparing for who you're going to see. Both of them operate that offense pretty well, and we're going to have to prepare for it.
Jonathan, I apologize having to ask about this after a football game, but when the scuffle broke out, there were 23 seconds left in the game. Their sideline poured onto the field to join the scuffle. When you're coaching a team, do you have to remind your players to not join a scuffle or leave the sideline, or do you have any thoughts about what they did and what that led to?
Yeah, amongst the rules, the clock's still going. You leave the sideline, that's a penalty. But I do think about the previous week, we had this similar situation. We're up on Iowa, taking a knee, right? And me and Coach Friends meet, I think, before even the game clock went out. And so we got to be smart at the end of the game. In this in particular one, hopefully this is a scene that doesn't take place again, but the clock's still going, and yeah, we want to operate within the rules on both sides.
Did you feel like your players were taken advantage of in that situation, or was the staff member over there trying to break it up? Can you comment on that?
I can comment to say yes, we had multiple staff and our own sideline getting over to break it up, to protect, to get out of there. And like I said, I haven't thoroughly looked at every angle and whatnot. I know the conference is going to be looking into it. We've been in touch with them, and that's what I got on that.
Just as far as things you can build off of positives, the second straight week again where the offensive line looked like they did a good job in the run game. Obviously with Nate, how much of that is focused to when you show your players what went right? How much is that moving forward?
Yeah, you always point out, because again, yeah, the score is what it is, but there's plenty of snaps within the game that, like I say, you can build off of. I think about Jack Carson Wentz coming in as a long snapper, right? Schickel goes down, we got to punt the ball, kind of backed up in front of 110,000. He throws a strike back there. Sam Edwards needed to come in to be the short snapper on field goal. I got operated. I think about Jonathan Kim, this is the early one that he totally is capable of making. He comes back and responds. He made a big kick to make that a 6-point game. And so, yeah, there's plays on there that you like and you want to build off some confidence in every game.
Looking back, when you watch the tape, what was working with the offensive line, and who do you feel maybe had their best game? It looked like Baldwin was playing really well, and how do you continue that forward momentum on the run game against one of the nation's best run defenses?
I think the technique these guys continue to believe in, the mindset of making it physical showed up amongst all 5 guys. I think the tight ends are part of that. Gained a little confidence, and even think the backfield. You look at the way Nate Carter was carrying that thing, finishing runs. There's a lot to like, but each week is going to be new. I do think the defenses we've played really the last month are pretty good, so we should be building some confidence that we can, if we play our technique, make it physical, we can have some success in the run game. No guarantees. We're going to have to prove it again on Saturday.
When a player like Jordan Turner is going to miss that first half and you're going to have to put him in the second, how do you keep a guy like him fresh, ready for the game when he doesn't have that first half to experience and learn from?
Yeah, that's not going to be easy on him, but he'll be locked in. He's one of our captains. This guy, his approach to the game, and some beauty. We talked about it the other week. Our front 7, we played 17 different guys in the front 7, so Jordan Hall gets more snaps. Wayne Matthews, Cal Holiday. We've got some guys that need to step up, and those guys will.